India's best UPSC interview guidance by former UPSC board members. 5-pronged approach includes DAF briefing, one-to-one sessions, regional information guidance, feedback by a psychologist, mock interview mimicking the actual interview by former UPSC board members only at KPIS Delhi. This is the guidance by the best to ace the UPSC race. WhatsApp your DAF to 9133957733 now.
Hello everybody, welcome to KPIS Delhi's CARE initiative, Current Affairs through Reverse Engineering.
These are the articles that we'll be seeing today. Union Cabinet approves Rs 8,500 crore scheme for coal gasification projects. Now for prelims, you should know what coal gasification is. Coal gasification is a process in which coal is partially oxidized by air, oxygen or steam, under controlled conditions to produce a fuel gas, and this is syngas. What is syngas? It is a mixture of carbon monoxide, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, methane and water vapor. Alright. The syngas or synthesis gas can be used for power generation and to make methanol also. Alright. And by adopting this coal gasification technique, the government is actually targeting to gasify 100 million tons of coal by 2030. Alright. What is the advantage that India will have? The country as a whole will reduce its reliance on imports of natural gas, methanol, ammonia and other essential products. Alright. So the basics you have to remember is that the Union Cabinet has actually approved a scheme worth Rs 8,500 crore for coal gasification projects. And first thing we've learned what coal gasification is and what is the product output. It is syngas or synthesis gas, and syngas is a mixture of carbon monoxide, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, methane and water vapor. Alright. And government is actually targeting to gasify 100 million tons of coal by 2030. That is the second point. And what are the advantages that the country will have? It would actually reduce the imports of natural gas, methanol and ammonia. Alright. Are there any disadvantages related to this coal gasification project? Yes, because this coal gasification technique is recognized as one of the more water-intensive forms of energy production. So it is a concern particularly in the regions that are already grappling with water shortages. Coal gasification was in news recently. Which among the following are advantages of coal gasification? Coal gasification contributes to cleaner air and improved environmental conditions. This is true. And this is also the advantage. Next, coal gasification aligns well with global efforts to reduce carbon emissions. This is also true and it is also the advantage. Coal gasification is recognized as one of the more water-intensive forms of energy production. This statement is true. However, it is not one of the advantages of coal gasification. Alright. So this is wrong. This is not the advantage. That's why we are eliminating the statement. Alright, that means only 1 and 2 are correct. Next, biomass gasification is considered to be one of the sustainable solutions to power crisis in India. In this context, which of the following statements are correct? Coconut shells, groundnut shells and rice husks can be used in biomass gasification. Yes. Actually, this biomass gasification can indeed utilize a variety of organic materials, and some of them are coconut shells, groundnut shells, rice husk, etc. So when one is correct, select the correct answer. Fine. So when one is correct, The combustible gases generated from biomass gasification consist of hydrogen and carbon dioxide only. No, this is wrong because of this word only. Because traces of other gases are also produced. So this is wrong, which means D is gone. The combustible gases generated from biomass gasification can be used for direct heat generation but not for internal combustion engines. See, this is correct. Not for internal combustion engines, this is wrong because it can be used in internal combustion engines also. Alright, so this is wrong, which means A is the answer. Alright. India's business growth hits 4-month high in January, says PMI report. So for prelims, this report will become important. Details about this report. Okay, PMI report stands for Purchasing Managers Index, and it serves as a crucial economic indicator derived from monthly surveys conducted among various companies. All right, and unlike indicators such as Index of Industrial Production, that is IIP, PMI focuses on gauging activity at purchasing or input stage rather than actual production. So at input stage itself, it is gauging the activity. All right. And coming to types of PMI, there are two PMIs, Purchasing Managers Index. One is Manufacturing PMI and the other one is Services PMI. While manufacturing PMI focuses on manufacturing companies and their activities, Services PMI evaluates the trends within the services sector. All right. Now, consider the following statements with respect to Purchasing Managers Index. PMI is an indicator of manufacturing activity only. This is wrong because we've just seen that there are two types of PMIs, right? One is the manufacturing PMI and the other one is services PMI. So this is wrong. It is a survey-based measure that asks the respondents about changes in their perception of some key business variables from the month before. This is true because it is a survey based measure and it relies completely on the responses of purchasing managers in various sectors of the economy. Alright, so this is also correct. B is the answer. Now, consider the following statements. Purchasing power parity, PPP, exchange rates are calculated by comparing the prices of the same basket of goods and services in different countries. This is true because purchasing power parity is a way of measuring economic variables in different countries so that the relevant exchange rate variations do not distort the comparisons. It states that exchange rates between currencies are in equilibrium when the purchasing power is the same in each of the two countries, which means this one. And it also means that the exchange rate between two countries should equal the ratio of two countries' price level of a fixed basket of goods and services. All right. So this is correct. In terms of PPP dollars, India is the sixth largest economy in the world. No. On PPP basis, China is the world's largest economy, followed by USA, and India is at third position. When this question was given in 2019, I'm talking about 2018 data. All right, so this is wrong, which means only A is correct. China, Taiwan, and Nauru diplomatic relations. Okay, what is the context? The context is that China has formally restored the diplomatic relations with Nauru after Pacific Island nation cuts its ties with Taiwan. All right. Now, for you to understand this, you should also understand about China's One China policy. Alright, One China policy actually refers to the idea that China is one country consisting of mainland China plus Taiwan. Alright, what does India stand? What does India stand? Traditionally adhering to One China policy, India maintained limited engagement with Taiwan despite establishing formal ties after Cold War. Okay, traditionally India adhered to One China policy. Okay, and it maintained limited ties with Taiwan. Because it is adhering to one China policy, it would consider Taiwan to be a part of Chinese administration. All right. If a country is establishing diplomatic ties with this particular piece of land, it means it is recognizing as a separate country. All right. So that is the thing. So Nauru has severed its relations with Taiwan. So China is becoming Nauru's friend, and it is promising that country that it will invest some money into its projects. All right. Now, consider the following statements. The One China policy refers to the idea that China is one country consisting of mainland China and Taiwan. This is correct. India maintains engagement with Taiwan and do not adhere to One China policy. This is wrong because traditionally India always adhered to One China policy. However, the changing geopolitics of the world might change India's stand. But traditionally, it has always adhered to One China policy. So this is wrong. Which of the statements given above are incorrect? Incorrect is two only. Right? Now, with reference to Look East policy of India, consider the following statements. India wants to establish itself as an important regional player in East Asian affairs. This is correct. Actually, Look East policy of India was launched by former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao also in the year 1991, and the objective was to develop political, economic, and security cooperation with countries in Southeast Asia. All right. So this is correct, which means this is gone. Right now, India wants to plug the vacuum created by the termination of Cold War. No. Because India actually wants to act as a counterweight to China in Southeast Asia. There is no vacuum, there is competition that is created by China. Alright, so this is wrong, which means this is gone. Now, India wants to restore the historical and cultural ties with its neighbors in Southeast and East Asia. This is correct. Because to promote economic cooperation, cultural ties, and to develop a strategic relationship with countries in Asia Pacific region, this Look East policy actually is revolving around that, no? So 1 and 3 are right. United Nations General Assembly reform. What is the context? The context is that Dennis Francis, who is the president of the 78th session of the UN General Assembly, has expressed commendation for India's active participation in the ongoing efforts to reform UN Security Council. So UN Security Council will become an important theme for prelims. All right. Coming to the basics about UNSC, it was established under Article 23 of the UN Charter. All right. And coming to the composition of this one, we will have 15 members, out of which 5 are permanent members. We often call them as P5 countries. What are those? USA, UK, France, Russia, and China. The other 10 are non-permanent members elected by United Nations General Assembly for 2-year terms. Alright, and the presidency rotates every month among 15 members. And what are the powers? The primary responsibility of UNSC is to maintain international peace and security. And it is the only UN organ to issue binding resolutions to member states. Alright. And there is a mobile app called Unite Aware. Unite Aware is a mobile app for UN peacekeeping forces by India. So these are the basics. Coming to the issues with respect to the membership, these P5 countries actually enjoy a veto power. Alright, this only P5 enjoys the veto power, and there is a power imbalance in UNSC as a whole. All right, so India is actually pitching in for reform of this UNSC membership and veto power. One term is Coffee Club. What is Coffee Club? It is a group of 12 countries in 1995. They came together, uniting for consensus, and it is often dubbed as Coffee Club, to jointly oppose the expansion of UNSC. They didn't want to expand the UNSC permanent five members. I mean, to include any other member into this. Why? They said that it will dilute the power. And what are the countries that are present in Coffee Club? Italy, Spain, Malta, San Marino, Pakistan, South Korea, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, Turkey, and Costa Rica. So these are some basics, all right? Consider the following statements with respect to United Nations Security Council. It is the only organ of the United Nations that has the power to make decisions that member states are obliged to implement. Yes, we've seen in the basics part, right? It is the only UN organ to pass binding resolutions on member states, right? So this is correct. Now, each year, the UN General Assembly elects 5 non-permanent members for UNSC out of 10 in total for a 2-year term. This is also correct. So C is the answer. Now, considering the following statements. The United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCSC, has a protocol against smuggling of migrants by land, sea, and air. It is not UNCSC, it is UNTOC, United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. Okay, it is UNTOC, United Nations a Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. So 1 is gone, which means D is gone, A is also gone, 2 is common, 4 is also common, so you have to read only 3. Alright. A feature of the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, UNTOC, is the inclusion of a specific chapter aimed at returning assets to their legitimate owners from which they were illegally acquired or was taken. See, this is not UNTOC, this is a feature of UNCAC. The name itself is saying, no, see, United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Illegally, if you have or taken something, or illegitimately you've taken something, it comes under corruption, right? So UNCAC has this feature, not UNTOC, alright? So C is the answer, alright? Joint air exercise named Desert Night begins over Arabian Sea. So whenever there is a military exercise or a naval exercise or an air force exercise, what are the countries that are involved in that particular exercise is very important. Here, with respect to Desert Night, India, France, and United Arab Emirates are involved in this Desert Night exercise. All right. For example, you have other exercises like hand in hand, which is exercise between India and China. You have Yuddhabhyas, Vajra Prahar between India and USA. So these things are important. Okay, make a list of these things and please keep seeing them and learn them, alright? Recently, the Indian Air Force conducted exercise Desert Night with the Air Force of which of the following countries? It is France and United Arab Emirates. The 3 countries are India, France, and UAE, right? So A is the answer. Now, Zapad is a multinational military exercise, yes, because 17 countries were invited to participate in Zapad in 2021. And it is actually one of the theater level exercises of the Russian armed forces and will primarily focus on operations against terrorists. Alright, so this is correct, which means B is wrong, D is also gone, 2 is not at all there in the answer, so 2 is eliminated. Now come to third one. Military exercise between China, India and Russia. No, it is a multinational exercise which has many countries, approximately 17 countries. So this is also wrong. A is the answer. World's first in vitro fertilization rhino. Okay, so what is the context? The context is that the scientists have achieved world's first in vitro fertilized rhino pregnancy, offering a glimmer hope for the critically endangered northern white rhino species. Alright, now for prelims, what is this in vitro fertilization? That is important. What is this in vitro fertilization? It is a process where mature eggs are collected from ovaries and fertilized by sperm in the laboratory. Alright, and then there will be zygote. Famously, it is known as test tube baby, and after embryo culturing, the embryo is transferred to the uterus of the mother. Alright, this is in vitro fertilization. Alright, and this is done for rhinos. Why? Because this is part of rescuing the endangered species. Alright, but the success was followed by tragedy. What happened? Though this in vitro fertilization was successful, but the surrogate mother is succumbed to infection after 70 days of pregnancy. Alright, despite this loss, a postmortem revealed a developing 6.5 centimeters male fetus with a 95% chance of being born alive. Alright, so still this rhino IVF is viable. That's what the researchers or scientists are thinking. These are some basics about in vitro fertilization. Coming to rhinos, see, every year World Rhino Day is observed on 22nd September to spread awareness for all the 5 species of rhinos, okay, and to save them. Alright, it was first announced by World Wildlife Fund WWF South Africa in 2010. Alright, now what are the 5 species that I was referring to? One is white rhino, second greater one-horned rhino, black rhino, Javan rhino, and Sumatran rhino. Alright, see, out of these, greater one-horned rhino and black rhinos are bright spots according to the report that was released by International Rhino Foundation, State of Rhino 2023. These two are considered as bright spots as their population is increasing. Okay, the Javan rhinos, the Sumatran rhinos, and the white rhinos are actually stable or decreasing. Alright, see, this white rhino is decreasing, the Sumatran rhino is decreasing population, Javan rhino is nearly stable. Okay, only these two are increasing. This is according to the State of Rhino 2023 report by International Rhino Foundation. Alright, and in India, we only find greater one-horned rhino. Alright, so these are some basics. Now, consider the following statements in the context of in vitro fertilization, which has been in news recently. It is an assisted reproductive technology. This is correct, right? So, B is gone because they are asking correct statements. In the Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill of 2010, the maximum age limit for IVF procedure has been set at 45 years for women and 50 years for men. This is also correct. Alright, that means C is gone. Now, Maharashtra is the first Indian state to offer free in vitro fertilization treatment. It is not Maharashtra, it is Goa. Alright, so 1 and 2 is the answer. Consider the following statements about in vitro fertilization. The name in vitro fertilization refers to the fact that the egg is fertilized by the sperm in the laboratory and not in the woman's reproductive tract. This is correct. We've just seen in the basics part, right? So this is correct. Now, fertility therapies are collectively called assisted reproductive technologies. Yes, because you are assisting the couple to get pregnant. Alright, so this is also correct. So both are correct.
This is it for today. All the best.